Hey guys, it's your boy Tacho here, and we're back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and today we got the Resplendent copy of Hector. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this guy, and take a look at some builds and some possible ways you may want to run him. Hector was of course one of the OGs in the game, and he was the original unit to come with Distant Counters, so he's a very memorable unit to a lot of us. And even if you don't plan to use your copy of Resplendent Hector, just the fact that he comes with Distant Counter, and Distant Counter is still one of the most usable A-slot passives in the entire game, it's still going to be a big win for everyone just getting this copy of Hector. So really nice stuff there. Alright, so the Resplendent Hector, if we take a look at his base kit, I mean, outside of Distant Counter, none of these skills really hold up too well anymore. I mean, Armad's was very good day one when this guy came out because it had built-in quick repost, and this was also before the days of skill inheritance. So just the fact that Hector had Distant Counter and built-in quick repost on his weapon made him a really meta-level unit, and he was arguably the best day one unit in the entire game at that time. His special attack is Pavis, which is, I mean, by this day and age, that's just adorable that he has that. Have they actually released any recent units nowadays that came with a defensive special, like Pavis or Sacred Cowl or Aegis or any of those, like, defensive specials? Have we gotten a unit released in this day and age that had that? Because I don't think we have, actually, to be honest. I know Legendary Celica came with Miracle, but that doesn't really count. That's not exactly what I'm talking about here, so I guess they just caught on that no one was running these defense specials and they just decided to scrap them. They do have a little bit of potential with some skills like Shield Pulse, but I mean, Shield Pulse in and of itself is already really rare in the first place, so there's not too many things you can do with these defensive specials, so I don't know. They may make a comeback someday, but for right now, they're stuck in limbo pretty much. And the other skill on this guy is Gold Armor, which is pretty nice, I guess, if you're running an armor ball, but it is the little brother, of course, to Ward Armor, which is the skill you totally want to go for if you're running an armor ball. Ward Armor is very nice. There's actually a bunch of defense setups people run in Aether Raids with a whole bunch of armored units that are super defensive, and they've all got Ward Armor equipped. So it is the better of the two of the Spur Armor skills, I would say. But, I mean, as far as this guy's base kit goes, really the only standout skill is Distant Counter, which is perfectly fine. I mean, it's still one of the best ace skills in the game anyway. And for recommended IVs on Resplendent Hector, I'm going to have to say either go with plus attack or plus res. Those are going to be your best bets, and the plus attack will be nice on basically all of the builds that we're going to be looking at today, while plus res is going to help his res out a bit and allow him to tank magic attacks a little bit better. He does have a very low res stat, and both the Legendary and the Valentine Hector have a better res than this Hector, even with the base stat total boost from the Resplendent ult. So that is one weakness to this Hector, and he doesn't have a super boon in attack either, like the other two Hectors we just talked about. But the Resplendent BST bonus did push his BST over those two Hectors, so he does have one little niche that the other two don't, even though it doesn't really help him because Resplendent BST does not count towards arena scoring, so I mean, it's still a little unfortunate, and I would say this guy is the least beneficiary of the Resplendent alts so far out of all the Resplendent units we've gotten. It just sucks that he's an armored unit and scoring matters so much to those guys, especially for modes like Arena. But all that being said, let's move on to the builds now. So this guy actually has two possible budget builds, and that's because he's got two really good weapons he can use. Armad's, of course, is the first, and you can pull off the classic Omni Breaker build on this guy, which a lot of people were talking about once the quick repost Sacred Seal came out. So the way this build works, you go ahead and you run Wary Fighter in the B slot, and Wary Fighter negates your own follow-up as well as the foes, but it only negates your follow-up from one thing. So because he's got built-in quick repost on the weapon, Wary Fighter will negate that follow-up attack that he gets, as well as the foe's follow-up, And then you're free to get another follow-up attack on the foes from either having Quick Riposte as the seal, or having more speed than the enemy. And of course, Hector isn't really the fastest, so he's not going to be able to get a natural double based on speed. So that's where the Quick Riposte seal comes in, and with double Quick Riposte and Wary Fighter, it's like he has an Omni Breaker, and he's able to double attack anybody while they can't double attack him. And it is an adorable little meme build at this point, because they've been releasing so many units that have null follow-up nowadays that this build, I don't think it's really going to work out as well as it did back then, but it is still a pretty cool trip down memory lane if you want to run it, and it's not too shabby for a budget build. We're also running Ignis here, so he can hit really hard, especially if you've got Brave Lucina to support him, and provide the breath effect for him. So the foes hit him once, that's -2 special charge. He counterattacks once, that's another -2 special charge. And his guaranteed follow-up from Quick Riposte is going to be an Ignis to the face. And because this guy's defense is so insanely high, that is probably going to KO the foes. So overall, not too terrible of a build. And for the second budget build, we're running Berserk Armads this time. This is Valentine Hector's weapon, and this guy is really lucky that he was able to get it. It grants -1 special trigger, and then it also has the Wrath effect. So once he dips below 75% health, his special attacks are going to do +10 damage, and he's also going to lower his special cooldown count by 1 at the start of every turn. So you're going to want this guy to tank some hits. And another really nice thing about the +10 damage effect on this weapon is that it actually kicks in mid-combat. So if a foe hits this guy and they lower his health below 75%, his counterattack is going to include the +10 damage from Wrath. So that's why we're running Noontime here. It's a 2-hit special, and Berserk Armad's -1 cooldown count is going to reduce Noontime to a 1-hit special. And the foes are going to hit Hector and hopefully dip him below 75% health. So on the retaliation, Noontime is going to deal +10 extra damage, and it's going to heal off, hopefully, all the damage that the foes did to him. So that's one way you could play this. You could also go for Soul as the special instead if you have Brave Lucina to support and grant the Breath effect, and it's pretty much going to work the same way except with a bigger heal. So very nice stuff. We're going to go with Quick Riposte as the beast skill, which is, I guess it's pretty cute at this point because armored units running Quick Riposte, I mean, what is this, 2017? But nah, I mean, Vengeful Fighter isn't a budget skill, so Quick Riposte is of course the next best thing. Of course we're keeping Distant Counter on this guy. I don't see why you'd get rid of that, especially on a budget build. And for the Sacred Seal, we're going with Distant Defense, but feel free to run something else like Mirror Stance if you prefer. So you can gain the stat bonuses against ranged or melee type opponents. Panic Ploy also works out pretty well on this Hector as a seal or in the C-slot passive, because his HP is pretty good, so Panic Ploy is going to come into play a lot for him. Vantage is another nice budget build for the B slot, and it just works out very well on these units that have distant counter effects. So that covers us for the budget builds on this Hector. And now for the high investment build, we're going to take a look at the Double Wrath build here, which is capable of just punching out all of your enemies with giant bonfires and giant Ignises. So with Berserk Armads and Wrath in the B-slot passive, you're going to be gaining plus 20 damage when this guy triggers a special. And that is true damage, so 20 HP's worth of damage, that's already half of most of the unit's HP these days. And you couple that with the additional damage he's gaining from either Bonfire or Ignis with his gigantic defensive stat, it's very likely that this Hector is going to be getting one-shots on the foes as soon as he falls below the HP threshold to activate Wrath. We're also going to run Armored Stride on this build. I feel like it's a little more consistent overall than Armor March on something like this, because you will want him to player phase and go for those one-hit KO Wraths. And from there, you can just Wings of Mercy a unit up to him, get the dance, and then move him out of the way. So Armored Stride is actually proving to be one of the best armor movement type skills, and it's only just released on Legendary Edelgard, but I've already seen a ton of crazy use of this skill in arena modes and Aether raids. So keep an eye out for Armored Stride, it's totally a really good skill. We've also got Brazen Attack and Defense as the seal on this guy, which is nice. It's just going to power up Bonfire as well as his own attack. Now, for the A slot passive, you actually could get rid of Distant Counter if you wanted. Unfortunately, he's an armor type unit, so he can't use Sturdy Impact, but you're free to run Attack and Defense Push if you want, or Death Blow 4 instead if you just want to focus on that really powerful player phase with this guy. And Bold Fighter and Special Spiral could also be other B slot options if you'd prefer to run Ignis over Bonfire. But I do think Double Wrath gets the point across pretty well on this build, and overall the plus 20 true damage from having Double Wrath is going to juice up Bonfire to the point where it's going to be on par with Ignis for the most part. And that pretty much covers us for the builds on Resplendent Hector. Really awesome unit, and it's really nice that we're getting this copy of him, because if you don't like him, you could just sack him for that Distant Counter fodder, and everyone pretty much makes out like a bandit for getting that copy of Hector. And for the next Resplendent hero, we have news that it's going to be Sanaa Key, which actually breaks the chain that we had going on. So before this, all of the units that they were releasing were in a certain order where it would be a 5-star exclusive and then either a 3-star or 4-star summonable unit. And right after Hector, we're going to be getting Sanaa Key, which breaks the chain. This is 2 back-to-back 5-star exclusives. And I'm not really sure how I feel about that right now, because I was very satisfied with all the 3 and 4-star units they were giving us. All of them pretty much turned out amazing with the Resplendent alt. So it is a bit of a downer that we're not getting another one right away after Hector. But as far as Sanaa Key goes, she is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. I love Tellius so much, and Sanaa Key was an amazing character, particularly in Path of Radiance, which her Resplendent artwork looks to be resembling a little bit more. I feel like the original Sanaa Key art we had in the game was more based on her Radiant Dawn appearance, because she looks a little bit older there. Also, that old artwork had a really huge forehead, even with her headband taken into account. I mean, she had like a 5 head, so it is nice to get the more adorable version of Sanaa Key with the regular size forehead in the game, I guess. And she's also going to be rocking that Emblem's attire, so it would be pretty funny to see how this Sanaa Key interacts with Veronica, because they're both pretty sassy, so that would be pretty cool. But that's going to wrap us up for today's video, guys, so hope you enjoyed the analysis on Resplendent Hector, and let me know in the comments section down below how you feel about Resplendent Sanaa Key being the next Resplendent hero, and would you have rather gotten another 3 or 4-star summonable unit, or would you prefer to just get another 5-star exclusive right away? Let me know your thoughts on that down below. And that's all for today, guys. So, as always, this is your boy Tacho signing out. So, cheers. Have a great one. Have a great Mother's Day, by the way. Today is Mother's Day, so shout outs to that. And I'll catch you guys all on the flip side.